Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Farrah, and today's going to be a reading wrap-up for you. And I'm a little behind schedule with filming just because of life and everything being busy, and you know the deal. But so this is going to be my August and September wrap-up. I didn't read that much in August, to be honest. I think I finished 2 books, so I didn't do a wrap-up then. I just combined it with September. But I have a couple stats for you. I used to do this all the time in my wrap-up videos, and then I got lazy. But for these 2 months, I ended up reading 9 books. 5 of them are audio, 1 was digital, and 3 were physical. So definitely heavier on the audio, which is normal for me. It's just easier for me to get through books via audio in this phase of my life. 3 of them I owned, and 6 of them I got from the library. I had a pretty good time, though, these past 2 months of reading these books. I had 1 DNF, though. I had 2 3 stars, I had 3 4 stars, and I had 3 5 stars. So it was overall pretty good. It was a pretty good reading month. So I'm going to just go through real quickly. A lot of these I've vlogged about, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time getting into the reasons why I like them or didn't like them. But for the most part, this is just a quick run through. So I'm going to go in order of least favorite to favorite. So the first one, I'm just going to talk about my DNF real quickly, and this is nothing against the book. This is totally a me issue and my problem with the audio, and I just couldn't get a hold of the digital. So I just said, you know what, if it's meant to be, I'll find it again someday. But this one was The Kamogawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai, and it was translated by Jessie Kirkwood. This was a recommendation from my lovely twin sister who has been to Japan before. She's been to Tokyo and Hiroshima, I believe, and she's a foodie. She loves Japanese food, and she highly recommended this book. She said she really loved it. It was great, so she recommended I give it a try. I did. I got it from from Libby as audio, and I just couldn't follow it, and I couldn't get into it. If you guys have ever read Before the Coffee Gets Cold or What You Need You'll Find at the Library, I'm not sure if that's exactly the title, but something along those lines. It's very similar to that type of book where we're following a couple of different people's stories with one main sort of group that these people come to. So they're almost like separate little short stories within an overall story with a underlying meaning to it, which I like. Now I haven't read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but I did read What You Need Is in the Library. That one was just okay for me. But again, I think sometimes with these type of books, the audio doesn't work for me. So the narrator for this one was great. She had a beautiful voice. It was done in a British accent. She is half British, half Japanese. Lovely, lovely voice. It's just that I think I sometimes get lost in all the Japanese names if I'm not visibly looking at it, or the names of food, and I forget if this is in the name of a town or if it's somebody else's name or who's related to who and that kind of thing. So I just couldn't focus on the audio, unfortunately. But what the story is about is it's about a father and daughter team who own a restaurant. It's very hidden. It's very secluded. Not a lot of people know about it. It's not advertised. And people can come in and they can talk about a favorite dish from the past. And these two will help try to recreate this particular dish almost to the exact point where it's, exactly the same, to help bring up memories or to help heal something that's painful for them in the past. So the premise sounds great. I think that this was a crowd pleaser for a lot of people. It just didn't work for me. So I DNF'd it probably around the 30% mark. And I just figured, why force it if it's just not happening right now? So that was my 1 DNF. Okay, so next on the rank is As You Like It by Shakespeare. And I read this for Shakestember. I listened to it. And I picked this one because it was the pick for Melinda's Discord. She's doing a read-along with Shakespeare, 1 Shakespeare play a month. And this was the pick for September. And I didn't know anything about this going into it. No clue what the plot was about. I knew it was a comedy. And this one was... I don't know. You know what? Here's the thing. So I got done reading A Midsummer Night's Dream not that long ago, which I gave 5 stars to. I really liked that one. This one had a little bit of that type of story, but it was just not as fun for me. Again, who am I to judge Shakespeare? But I just couldn't get into this one. It was kind of silly. It was like insta love. It was hiding in the forest, dressing up, two female characters dressing up. Well, one of them dressing up as a man, convincing the man that she loves to pretend to marry her. how could he not tell it was her? Silliness. And I don't know, I got lost in this one. Maybe again, if I had read it, if I'd been able to pay attention to it more, because I was multitasking doing this, I might have liked it a bit more, but it just wasn't for me. As You Like It by William Shakespeare. If you like this play, please tell me why. Please tell me why you liked it, because I don't think I'll be revisiting this one. Wasn't my favorite. All right, my next 3-star read was called Joshua the Homecoming. So for this one, I really thought I was reading Joshua, A Parable for Today, which is the first book in the Joshua series. I didn't even know it was a series. I got it through the library. I really thought it was the first one, and I was excited to read it because my mom had read this a long time ago, and I remember it being on her nightstand. The cover is clear as day, and I remember always wondering what it was about. And recently we got talking about it, and she was like, oh yeah, you might really like it. It's kind of like, it's a story about what it would be like if Jesus were walking around today. So it's kind of like Jesus has come back and he's walking around the present day and talking with people about his message and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I think you would like it. So I started it, and it was pretty good. There was nothing bad about it, but it was written very simply. And this is just a different journey that I guess Jesus came back to this one town and talked about what he saw and what he learned. And it was actually really interesting because it was one of those stories that is trying to tell you that, there's things wrong with the church, and that's really not the message of Jesus. And, this is what the message is, and to love each other and to trust and believe and do well and do good for others, without all the dogma and the stuff that goes on and the rules and things like that. So I really enjoyed the message of Joshua, but the writing was very simple. So I think that makes it very accessible to a lot of people. It wasn't too complicated or deep or, too many deep or hidden meanings within it. It was very basic. Again, I did this as audio. I think I would have done better if I just read it, but it is what it is. So I actually did purchase a copy of Jesus, A Parable for Today, which I will be reading at some point, physically reading, because I think that one is much higher rated in terms of overall ratings and enjoyment. So we'll see. But that was one of the books that I probably got 75% through till I realized this plot is not matching up with what I'm reading on Goodreads. And then I'm like, oh, this is book 6. Whoopsie. So that was that. Whoops. All right, for my 4-star reads, first one I have to tell you about is Summer World by Bernd Henrich. And this was fantastic. This was great. Now, this is a duology in a sense with another nonfiction book called Winter World, which I read a few years ago for a winter ecology class I took through my local university, just for fun. And this one was very, very good. It was very informative. I read this throughout the months of June, July, and August, and even a little bit into September. I learned so much. And I really like this author and his style of writing nonfiction. He's not quite as engaging, or maybe the personality's not flowing as well as, say, someone like Ed Yong, but he is really knowledgeable and he's a great writer. And I just really enjoyed my time reading this. I slowly went through it. I paced myself. There's a lot of different pen and ink illustrations in here to kind of show you or visualize what he's talking about. There were a lot of things about birds, which I enjoyed. There were also a lot of things about insects. So I would say birds and insects were the main focus of this book. Not so much other mammals or reptiles, I would say. In Winter World, the other one, I felt like there was more of a variety of animals, but this was very insect heavy, which was very interesting. I really liked it. There was a lot of stuff about wasps and butterflies and moths, and it was just fun to read about the animal or the animal behavior or experiment he was doing, and to just find videos on YouTube so I could really visualize that behavior and what they looked like. And I learned a lot of interesting things about moths. And now I just want to get some moths to raise in a little tent. I can't do it right now because of the weather, but next spring, I would love to get a batch of some of these moths and then just release them. I don't know. It's really fun for me to think about that. So really enjoyed this, gave it 4 stars. It didn't have enough variety maybe for me to give it a full 5-star, but I really did like it. Now we're getting into some of the books that I've vlogged about. So just real quickly, I read and enjoyed Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen for Jane Austen July. It took me a little bit longer. I think I finished it in August. This was the ones I finished in August. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It was very entertaining. It was funny. Basic plot. It's a satire about Gothic novels, and I'm not going to get into it. I did a whole video on this, but it's my very first Jane Austen. It did not disappoint, and it's made me really excited to get into her other works, especially Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. I'm going to be saving those for last. I think the next one I will try will be Sense and Sensibility, because I know that story already, so I might as well read it now. But I'm really excited to look into more adaptations of this, movies or film, and thank you for all your suggestions, for those of you that watched the vlog and gave me some tips. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Okay, and then my last 4-star read was Carrie by Stephen King. I also made a separate vlog about this, so I'm not going to get into it, but this was really fun. This was a fun, fast-paced, interesting book. I somewhat kind of knew the story. I mean, I knew who Carrie was. I know what happens to her. I know she had telekinetic powers, but I didn't know the extent of what happens in this book. And now I'm excited to watch the movie that had come out. I think the older movie, not the more recent one, but maybe I'll watch both. I don't know. But I'm more excited for the old school one. But this one was great. I liked the type of storytelling Stephen King used for this, a multimedia approach with newspaper clippings and reports and the foreshadowing and kind of Carrie's evolution, you know, how she is in the beginning of the book, completely powerless, to how she is at the end of the book, like with lots of power, and how she is in between, and just seeing her powers develop and what she uses them for. And yeah, I love this. I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to getting into more Stephen King. Next one I'm going to try is probably going to be Salem's Lot. Yeah, that's the next one. All right, so now getting into the 5-star reads. I listened to and read The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, and this was wonderful. This was so good. I really enjoyed this. Now, I'm not sure if I had read it when I was young, if I would have enjoyed it as much as I do now, but I really liked it now. I gave it 5 stars. I thought that the audio was really well done. I was talking to Mark from Book Time with Elvis with this one, because he had read it during Shorty September, and he raved about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I have that. I'm going to give it a try. And he recommended to try the Audible audio. The narrator was fantastic. We were talking about how it feels like you're listening to a grandfather read it to you. It just had that feeling, that cozy fall feeling, and it was just such a nice story. It follows these 4 characters. They're all very different. We have Mole, who's sweet and kind. We have Rat, who's loyal and protective. We have Badger, who's very intellectual and brave and solves problems. And then we have Mr. Toad, who's like off the rails, impulsive, emotional. You know, and just their adventures, it follows them through at least one yearly season for all the different seasons. And I loved just the friendships that they had, the conversations they had. There's this one section where Mole had left his house for a while to go live with Rat, and then he finds his home again. And it was so sweet and nostalgic, and just the writing was really nice. I really, really enjoyed my time with this book. I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it before, but just know that it's not a book for everyone. And if you're reading it to like move quickly through a plot, or you're looking for excitement, I wouldn't say it's that, but it's like if you just enjoy each chapter for what it is, I think you might really like it. So I loved this one so much. Yeah, this was a good one. And then for my 5-star audiobook, I listened to Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes, and this is the first book I've ever read by her. And I found out about this book from Melinda at Web of Stories. She read it a while ago, and the way she spoke about it, it made me feel really excited to give it a try. So I had it on my holds list forever, and I finally, chose it and listened to it. It was excellent. It was so good. It's basically Medusa retelling, and it's told from Medusa's point of view, and we see what happens to her, and it's kind of like a flipped villain type of story, which I love. I love those. But it's also a story with a lot of themes about feminism and how women can be so horrible to each other. These power trips that these men had over these women, and how they reacted, and how they went after other women instead of the men. And I really liked Medusa's storyline with her sisters. I thought that was really sweet. Medusa's definitely held away from us a little bit, though. We're not completely intimate with her. There was a lot of different points of views, definitely a ton of points of views in this book, which sometimes doesn't work the best for me. But for some reason, I just thought this book was really well done. I really liked the themes. I liked the dialogue. I liked the pacing of the story, how it was told. And then we have our main narrator, who we find out who she is at the end, or somewhat towards the end. And I just thought it was really well done. I really, really enjoyed my time with this. It wasn't that long of a book, and I will definitely be reading it again physically at some point, because I know I missed a few things in there, but I really, really liked it. And then finally, my last 5-star book of those 2 months was The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I talked about this a lot in the vlog that I just released, so I'm not going to get into it. All I'll say, though, is the audio is excellent. It's a story following a mother named Elsa and her 2 kids as they travel away from Texas during the awful time of the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, and they have to pick up and leave and try to find a new life in California. When they get there, it's a disaster. Nobody can find work. People are forced to live in homeless camps and struggle to try to make ends meet. And they get trapped into these systems of owing credit and only being able to shop at this store, but never being able to pull off their debt. They have to work 12 hours a day picking cotton, and they get barely anything for it. And then they meet a group of people that are trying to rise against this, and there's a resistance going on. And we see this wonderful arc with our main character and her relationship with her 13-year-old daughter. And it just was a book that hit me emotionally so much, because I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter, and as I was talking about this in my vlog, how your relationship with your children changes. I think especially with moms and daughters. Maybe not so much if you have a son, and unfortunately I don't have a son, so I wouldn't know, but there's definitely a dynamic that changes. You know, you go from being the light of their life and their entire world to kind of being somebody that's, you know, they could take you or leave you most days, and it breaks your heart. It breaks my heart, because I love them so much, and I always want to spend time with them. And, you know, they're kind of like, okay, well, you know, we got our own lives, Mom. We got our own friends. So I know they'll come back to me. But this book just really was well done. I thought really wonderful storytelling, wonderful as audio. I do hope to read this again physically, and I'm really excited to check out more of her books. It was just, I really, really liked it a lot. So I can recommend the last 3 books I read. Not everybody's going to love these, I know, but if you're reading tastes are similar to me at this point, I think those are 3 that I could highly recommend, as well as, you know, the 4-star ones too. So that's it. That's my reading update. Obviously, I've read a few things. I'm filming this at close to the end of October. Let's just be real. Today is October 25th. So I have read a few things since then, but I'm saving them for my wrap up and my vlog that I started for that. But I haven't read enough spooky things, unfortunately. I'm getting ready for Dr. November too, so I've been in a little bit of an espionage kick to get ready for that. So yeah, that's my wrap up, you guys. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing well. You know, it's that time of year where it gets a little stressful, at least for me, I think. So I'm going to try my best to make videos, but if you don't see me as often, I mean, not that I'm posting that much anyway, but if you see me more scattered here and there, I'm just taking a little time off for the holidays and really trying to film when I just feel inspired and not feel like it's a job, even though I love it. I love Booktube, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to watch a lot of Booktube lately, just with life being busy, and my job has been incredibly stressful and taking a lot mentally out of me. So sometimes I just can't, you guys know what I mean. But anyway, thank you for sticking with me this long in the video, and for anybody who has watched my vlogs, I just appreciate that so much. I enjoy making them. They don't get a ton of views, but for those of you that always come back and watch, I just can't thank you enough. So yes, take care, everyone. I will see you in my next video, and hope you're having a wonderful month of reading. Take care.